was very impressed by the dimension of the story, but also not only the dimension, like all the effects, but also the human aspects of the story. How did you balance the beautiful, dramatic relationship among all the characters and the effects, the action?
Thank you so much for that, because that is something I care so much about, and I not only tried to do that, I tried to balance it. I mean, we worked very hard on that. So my approach from the start is I am a big believer in the power of these films and what they can do. They don't always have to do it. They can do all kinds of things, but they can reach a massive audience and inspire the world with a human story. That's what I think originally brought little kids to superhero stories, is imagining themselves waking up with those powers and doing those things. So the human quality of the story mattered to me a lot. You could feel like you were Wonder Woman, or you could feel like you were Steve, and you were on this journey and how that would go. So I both approached it as the person who loves a great superhero film. I was like, ooh, I want it to be a blast for me, and exciting and visual and scary and, you know, all of those things. But also, I don't want to stop approaching it like I would a normal drama. It's a love story about people's journeys through the world, and about your main character going from having a youthful understanding of what it is to be a hero to learning the complexity of what it really is to be a hero. So approach it just like a drama. Be as rigorous as you can about that story.
So, Patty, at a personal level, do you think for you it's the bigger challenge to direct a blockbuster in which there are millions invested than to direct a smaller film, or you approach it the same way?
I approach it the same way, and they actually, one is not more challenging than the other. They are both extremely challenging for two different reasons. I don't think that this was harder or easier than making Monster, for instance. I think they were both incredibly demanding and taxing and difficult to try to hit the target you're trying to hit. And for the same reason, it's like there's there's a quarter of the time and 1/90th of the money on a small, independent film. And on this, those things loosen out, but you still have 20%, you need 20% more than you have. So there were different things about both. And I think that's been true in my whole career, from short film to commercial to TV pilot. It's always the same struggle. I keep waiting for the day that success brings luxury and comfort, and I don't think it's coming.
I see you very comfortable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
But why do you think comic books and films based on comic books have become so important in our culture? They're not only films, they're events, and people follow them, and they become part of the stories almost.
Yeah, I actually am a true believer in the genre. And the reason is because throughout history, I've always been a big student of the history of story. And what is it about story that keeps us coming back? Why do we sit at a fire and tell stories? Why do we tell it in a play? Why do we read it in a book? What is it that we're after? Well, human beings since the beginning of time have been turning these universal questions together. And they used to have universal characters to do it with, which were based on every religion. And each of those religions had a fable and a tale to tell you about the struggles of being a good person. In an international world, we lost the ability to share those characters, and in America, we happened to create superheroes as somebody that everybody of all kinds could identify with and say, I know that core character, let me watch them go through these struggles in life. So I think people use those characters for all kinds of things, and right now I think oftentimes they're just fun and extravaganza, and that's great. But also, what a wonderful thing, in particularly when it comes to Wonder Woman, who has inspired me my whole life, not only as a character, but also as a quality of an ideal in my own life, to tell a story about that journey and struggle to get there.
Okay, I consider wonderful the perception of women in film is going to change with this one, I think. I mean, it's already changed, but this is going to have a bigger impact because I think this society is becoming more and more macho in a way.
Yeah,
in a
that's
bad way,
interesting.
but maybe
interesting.
not. I don't know.
I hope so. I think that would be wonderful. I hope that it confuses the assumptions that you would think that this has to be males or only men like this or whatever. I hope that people are confused by, oh, turns out women like this and these things are different than I thought.
No, I wasn't talking about male audience being attracted, but more like having a great image of women in this society.
I agree with you completely. I think that our world, if we're going to save this world, which we might not be able to do, we have to change. We all have to change, and we have to give up so many of the things that we have aspired to for so long. You know, nationalism and bullishness and war style, and we have to become more inclusive, more loving, and more thoughtful about the heroics in our own personal life. That's imperative, and it's why I believe in this movie and these messages so much.